Every driver who works on Britain's rail network is a professional. We have all been trained to do our job. We are regularly assessed on our competence, route knowledge, traction knowledge, driving technique, communication. It's a job that not just anyone can do. It's a safety-critical role that takes commitment, responsibility and focus. It's a job that Britain needs. We are part of the team that provides the country with a vital service, the railway, and it's a job that is sought after. There are thousands more people wanting to become train drivers than there are vacancies. So, the industry has rigorous processes to make sure we select the people who are best suited for the task. It is a job to be proud of. But there is more to being a professional driver than skill, knowledge and suitability. This programme looks at those other aspects. Things like managing our lifestyle so that it supports our career without compromising our free time. Coping with shift work and managing the difficulties it can create for sleep, health and social life. Dealing with the pressures of the job in a professional way. It's what people often call the soft stuff, although it often turns out to be the really hard stuff. Of course, these issues are not unique to the railway, but this programme looks at them in the unique context that is the railway. It's been put together by professional drivers for professional drivers. We also look at things like preparing for your shift, keeping focused when driving, recovering from distractions, staying switched on until the end of your shift. Of course, on a short DVD, it isn't possible to cover everything that could affect your driving. Your company's professional driving policy will provide you with more information. There are also extra resources and interactive exercises on this DVD. Obviously, your employer is not going to tell you what to do in your free time. So, any advice given here on lifestyle and self-management is guidance only, not rules. We hope you find it useful and enjoy the programme. Being tired at work can be as dangerous as taking drugs or alcohol. In fact, not having enough sleep impairs just about every single one of the mental and physical abilities that are critical for us drivers. We lose concentration. Our reaction time gets slower. We don't judge speed and distance as well. Tiredness also makes some people moody and irritable, which can cause them to take risks. So being tired is a serious issue for drivers. And the only way to beat tiredness is to get sleep. Good, quality sleep and enough of it. With that, we mean 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep in each 24-hour period. That's what most people need. But when you work on the railway, that's not always easy to get. Shift work is a fact of life on the railway. We need early shifts for passenger services and night shifts for freight transport and track maintenance. Necessary as they are, the shift patterns can make it difficult for us to get enough good quality sleep between the shifts. Some of the reasons are obvious. Our shift patterns are often out of sync with the rest of the world, and especially family and social life. So, to get good sleep, we need to manage our environment and social commitments. Try to minimize noise in your sleeping environment. Make sure you won't be disturbed by phones. Some doorbells can be fitted with a killer switch that allows you to turn it off. Or let visitors know when you need to sleep. Earplugs or playing soft music can help to block out traffic noise. Explain to your family why you need to get your rest, and sometimes sleep at odd times. Shift patterns can also make it hard to sleep because they are out of sync with our body clock. The body clock controls our heart rate, body temperature, alertness, reaction time, and mental ability. All of these are at their highest level during the day when we'd normally be awake, and this can make it difficult to sleep during daytime. We humans have simply evolved to sleep in the night, but there are proven steps we can take to make it easier to sleep in the day. Daylight makes us wake up, so blocking it out helps to get to sleep. There are many different types of blackout curtains available from homeware or DIY stores. Or use a sleep mask. You can get these from the chemist. We can also fool our bodies to expect sleep by developing a routine. This simply means doing the same things every time we go to bed. For instance, taking a warm shower and reading for a while. For this trick to work, you need to follow the pattern every time you prepare to sleep, whether it's daytime sleep or nighttime sleep. This way, your body will know it's time to sleep, and this makes dropping off easier. You can also try this trick if you get woken soon after you have fallen asleep. Many people find that this is the hardest time to get back to sleep. Simply get up and repeat the routine. It also helps to avoid certain things before preparing to sleep. Avoid caffeinated drinks within 4 hours of going to bed. These include tea, coffee, cola drinks, and many sports drinks. Avoid smoking immediately before trying to sleep. Nicotine is a stimulant and can keep you awake. Do not use alcohol as a sleeping aid. Although a couple of drinks may help us to fall asleep, alcohol disturbs the sleep cycle and we get poorer quality sleep. And of course, we must make sure we are fit for our next shift. Taking regular exercise can help to improve your sleep. But don't exercise strenuously just before going to sleep. It can keep you awake. Working shifts can give us a lot more flexibility than working 9 to 5, so it can be tempting to fit as much into the day as we can. We've all been there, juggling the pressures of work and everyday life. Colin Simpson was involved in an incident at a time when he was facing a lot of pressure in his private life. Here he tells what happened.
I was approaching Blackpool with my train, and I was going on top of another train, and it was already in the platform. And as I approached the train, I had a micro sleep, which led to a small collision with the train in front. It wasn't major because I was only doing, my speed was about 4 or 5 miles an hour, so just like a quick stop. When I first bumped into the train, because I didn't feel tired, or I didn't feel as though I could go to sleep, I thought I might have had a blackout. Should have been moving house, but that never materialised, as the people who were buying my house pulled out 4 days before we were supposed to move. So there was a lot of stress involved there. I've got 2 young daughters, one 6 and one nearly 3, and we had a lot of problems with childcare. There was finishing school, my wife works full time, so it was like trying to pick them up and drop them off at school and juggle everything around. So it was, at the time it was really tough. Well, I tried to move shifts. I juggled quite a few shifts about, which in hindsight wasn't probably not the right thing to do, because after the incident, and I've gone through tests, and my fatigue levels are very high.
Fact of the modern life. So much to do, so little time. And if you are very stressed, you may not even realise how tired you're getting. After the incident, Colin attended a training programme provided by his company that helped him to understand how stress and lack of sleep can affect you.
Sometimes you have to try and juggle one with the other, and sometimes it gets very difficult. But there are other outlets, like you can, if you speak to your manager about it, and they can come up with alternatives as well. If they know what the reasons behind you wanting to do an earlier shift or consider it turns, or they'll try and accommodate you, but at the time I didn't tell them, so they obviously didn't know. So, but next time they will know, because I will definitely go and tell them next time.
Each of us is bound to go through some stressful times in our private life. The important thing is to acknowledge when this is happening. We can't always eliminate stress from our life, but we can manage the risk that stress could introduce to our work. Not all sleep problems are related to shift work. There are various sleep disorders that can affect anyone. A common one is sleep apnea. It is a condition that interrupts your breathing while you're asleep. You then wake up very briefly before returning back to sleep. This can happen even hundreds of times per night, but you may not be aware of it. However, the repeated awakenings disrupt sleep and may lead to tiredness and drowsiness during waking hours. If you often feel inexplicably tired, even though you've had the sufficient hours of sleep, it could be because of sleep apnea. If you or your partner suspect that you might suffer from sleep apnea, contact your GP for advice. Having sleep apnea will not stop you driving trains, and it can be treated. Getting it diagnosed and treated will improve both your health and your quality of life. It's not just the lifestyle, health and shift work issues that can affect our work. It's also what happens in our life outside work, the ups and downs of life. Some things in life are just so exciting that it can be hard to concentrate on the driving duties. That's where our professionalism comes in. We just have to put the personal stuff out of our mind and stay focused. But that's much harder to do when it's something difficult we are experiencing. Problems in a relationship, financial pressures, illness of someone close to us, bereavement. Nobody goes through life without difficulties of some sort, and we all have our own way of dealing with them. Some talk to friends, others take some time for themselves. Some people drown their worries in work. As professional drivers, we need to be aware of how personal problems can affect our work. Rob Dorber went through a particularly difficult time in his life a few years ago when he was a driver. Now, as a driver trainer, he has found that sharing his experience can encourage others to use the support channels available for drivers.
My father had worked all his life, and he worked up until 64 and he took slightly early retirement, and he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Initially it wasn't a problem, wasn't a major problem whatsoever. Some things was quite amusing, quite funny, the forgetful things, this, that and the other. And we didn't really treat it as a problem. It was only getting towards the end that it started causing major problems for me at work. Whereas I would be at work and the phone calls changed from "Can you take your dad for a walk" to "Can you come and find your dad?" As my father was gradually getting worse and worse and worse, my wife fell pregnant with her third child, and the pregnancy was going fine, was going smashing, right up until 11 weeks from delivery, and she delivered 11 weeks prem. It was a little boy. We called him Harvey, but he was born with some serious respiratory problems. And
when this happened, Rob had no option but to take time off work to look after his family.
I was juggling things. I taking the kids to school, nipping round to my mother's house, making sure my father was okay, make sure my mother was okay. If they needed any bits of shopping or whatever, then I would jump in the car, come to Manchester, spend some time with my wife, make sure my wife was okay. A few hours with the baby, back to Wigan, pick the children up. To be honest, that is so difficult in itself. So difficult in itself. Just doing that, just dealing with that. We had some ups and downs while I was in the hospital. Sometimes Harvey would respond well to the treatment he was getting, and then other days So it was a bit of a roller coaster ride. They said he was very poorly, but we never had any inclination that we wasn't going to walk away from that hospital with that baby. There was never any inclination whatsoever.
Very sadly, little Harvey passed away.
But I was there, and I was trying to be strong for everyone. I was trying to help everyone out and do everything. And you tend to put your own feelings and your own personal things slightly on hold and deal with your kids and deal with your wife. And obviously my wife's mother and father, they was heartbroken, my mother was heartbroken.
With the bereavement and looking after his family, Rob had been off work for several weeks, the longest ever during his career. When he felt ready to return to work, his manager suggested they meet up to discuss it.
This was the first time the subject of counselling had got approached, and he said, do you think counselling might benefit you? And as the macho image within the rail industry generally goes, I thought, no, not really. I don't think that'll benefit me. I don't think that'll benefit me at all. I think it'll do me more harm than good. Why should I go and start speaking to a total stranger about what's been going on for the last couple of years in my life?
However, in the end, Rob decided to go and have an initial session.
Within a very, very short space of time from talking to her, I felt myself, the lump come in the throat, the eyes start to fill up, and I feel myself uncontrollably breaking down in front of this perfect stranger, which isn't comfortable because I've never done that before.
It was left up to Rob to consider if he wanted to go for further sessions. After a few days thinking, he decided to do so. On his second visit, the counsellor told him a bit about herself.
When she did that, I instantly related to her, as she wasn't some boffin. She wasn't somebody what was there to speak down to me. She wasn't there to judge me, and she was just a very nice lady who had loads of life experience herself. It related to my personal problems. My baby had just died. My father was ongoing with Alzheimer's. She'd worked with these patients before. She'd dealt with the aftermath of what happens. That just allowed me to open up completely to her. Yeah, it just allowed me to speak my mind, to speak freely. It was private. She did make some of her own personal notes, but she assured me that them wouldn't go onto my record. They wouldn't even get put onto my medical record within the company. So I could say whatever I felt as though I could just go in and say whatever I wanted. And if I got upset about that, then I got upset about it. And that allowed me a release. Looking back now, without a doubt, I wouldn't be sat here now speaking to you if I hadn't have been in that counselling. I wouldn't be able to talk openly about things what had happened with my father, things what had happened with the bereavement. What it did for me was allow me to express and allow me to not break down. If something happened now, if I was to have another major problem in my life where I felt as though things was really getting on top of me, I wouldn't have any qualms about going speaking to my manager and saying, can you make me an appointment to go and have counselling? But at the moment, everything's fine.
If you feel able to do so, keep your line manager up to date if you are going through a difficult or stressful time in your personal life. All companies on the railway will be able to provide a line of support or advise you on where to find specialist advice, be it on legal, financial or emotional issues. But not all of us feel comfortable talking about our worries at work. There are many other things we can do. It often helps to just get another point of view on the situation we are in. Just reading a book can give us that. Or go on the internet. There are useful websites on pretty much any kind of issue, question or personal crisis we could face in life. Some of us started on the railway when the norm was just to grin and bear it. But those times are past, on the railway as well as in other industries. It's much better to look after our mental well-being. It's good for the job, it's good for those who are close to us, and it's good for us too. It goes without saying that time off duty is your time. It's time for your family, for your friends, for you. But it's also true that what we do in our free time and what happens in life outside work can affect our work. This is, of course, true for most people, not just us drivers. What sets us apart from many other jobs is that ours is a safety-critical role. We have a professional responsibility to manage our lifestyle and the impact of events in our life in such a way that we are fit for duty and also recognise if we are not. As professional drivers, we are expected to be fit for duty and properly prepared when booking on. But what does that mean? First, it means being physically prepared. We need to have had enough rest between the shifts. We need to eat and drink appropriately. Both low blood sugar levels and dehydration can lead to drowsiness and increase the risk of error when we are driving. Secondly, we need to be equipped with all the correct kit and information. Your company's professional driving policy will detail what you need, so follow it. But above all, we need to be mentally prepared. This is a safety-critical role, so we must be in the right mindset when we get into the cab. We need to be aware of our emotions and how they might affect our performance at work. There are also some simple things we can do to make sure we are not flustered and annoyed when booking on. We all know what it is like to be in a rush and the knock-on effect it can have. So let's give ourselves enough time to get to work and get prepared. If you do get delayed, inform your manager as soon as you can. Even if you're late, don't take shortcuts. Follow your booking on procedure and prepare your train or cab correctly. Rather be delayed and properly prepared than risk being involved in an incident. If something has happened that you think could affect your fitness for duty, then you must tell your manager. Inform your company as early as possible. Many of us find this is a hard thing to do as it affects our colleagues. But it's everyone's responsibility to put safety first. All ready to go? Well, not quite. The cab is our professional workplace, so let's prepare it professionally. There are some useful techniques that can help you maintain concentration while driving. Talk yourself through the aspects and your driving technique.
Approaching a single yellow, so the signal after that will be red.
But be aware, some people find this distractive rather than helpful. Only use it if you feel comfortable with it. To keep alert, try alternating standing up and sitting down when driving, if the design of your cab allows for it. Get out of the cab if you have time and your location permits you to do so. Stretch your legs and have a drink, especially in the hot weather. Have a drink of water or a bite to eat, but don't start reaching for it from your bag until you've come to a stand. You may have your own tricks to keep focused. Talk to other drivers and share your experiences. It helps us all. It's also useful to be aware of the times when we could be more at risk. These include after 4.5 hours of continuous driving, when we have early starts, or when we've had a run of successive earlies or nights, before we're about to go on leave, or when we've just returned from leave, and of course, if we haven't had quite enough sleep. Getting distracted while driving can be as serious as falling into driving on autopilot. And the possible sources of distraction are endless. People at a station, work on the line side, the PASCOM, our own mental preoccupations with something. Eliminate the source of distraction where you can. If you do find yourself getting distracted by a thought or event, you need to refocus. Here are some tips how to do it. Tell yourself to focus on driving. To help clear your head, Talk out loud and comment on the key features of your route. Ask yourself, what are the key features of my route? What colour was my last signal? If you can't remember, it's time to stop and call the signaller. But some distractions can be much harder to deal with.
Hello ladies and gentlemen,
This is your driver speaking.
I do apologise for this delay, but it's due to a signal failure.
In the Bethnal Green area. I'm hoping that we should be on the move within the next 10 minutes, but I will get back to you with more information as soon as I get it. Thank you.
Bloody joke.
Oi! Oi! Oi, mate! Oi! What the fuck's going on? It's about 20 minutes late already! This is a fucking piss take. You having a laugh? Is anyone actually in there? Hello? Are you asleep?
11:55.
Oi, mate, you taking the piss? We've been waiting about 20 minutes already today. It's a fucking joke, mate. Do you know how much I paid to do?
It's only natural that with a confrontation like this, the red mist descends. Take a moment to calm down before you move again. Take a few deep breaths. It can help to remember that the attack is not actually against you personally. The abuser just sees a uniform. You could also call the signaller or your control. Often having even a short chat helps to calm you down. Or make a plan to discuss the incident with your manager or colleagues at the end of your shift. Do not get aggressive towards the person who's abusing you. You could get physically attacked. Taking your break is crucial for maintaining concentration and attention. There may be times when you feel pressurized to get on with the job, but don't. Taking a break is a vital safety measure, and if there's an incident, the investigation is guaranteed to check if you had your PNB. So, know your company-specific break allowance and have the confidence to say, "I'll take my break." On the move. This is the time to be fully focused. Think ahead and actively look for signals and other cues on your route. Don't just wait to see them. Waiting for it may mean that you see it too late. With each cue, think about what it means to you. Actively scan the track and cab environment. This helps to keep you vigilant, especially on long, plain stretches of track when it's easy for our thoughts to wander. Use the devices that are designed to help you stay vigilant. Question what you see and hear. We humans have a tendency to interpret information in keeping with what we expect should happen, rather than what is actually going on. If you experience a TPWS intervention, always report the event to the signaller. Do not move until the signaller instructs you to do so. Don't make assumptions, and don't act if you're unsure. If in doubt, call the signaller. Each route you work will have its own characteristics and associated risks and hazards. So it really is your route knowledge that comes into play in focusing on the right things at the right time. Think ahead. Use common sense and your skills. Don't take chances with safety. Almost there. It's close to the end of the shift. Am I going to catch the train I was planning to? Am I going to be on time to see the kids leave for school? Whatever it is that's going on in our life, it's quite natural that our thoughts turn towards it as the shift nears its end. We want to get home, to have fun, to get on with the rest of our life. That's why this is a high-risk time. So let's stay focused. And let's stay focused on the driving task. Do not start leaving your cab before you've completed the last train movement. And let's have some respect for our fellow drivers. Take your rubbish away with you and leave the cab as you'd like to find it at the start of your next shift. Before we head off, we need to fill in any necessary reports. It probably isn't anybody's favourite bit of work, but it helps to keep the railway and your company running smoothly. Do it on the day. If you leave it till tomorrow, it will just impact on your booking on time, and your manager will give you grief. Remember, if you report everything that you are supposed to, it may prevent one of your colleagues having an incident. Finally, check your next shift and your diagram, and that's it. Job done, professionally in every aspect.